Hi everyone and welcome to the Unquendor Guitars workshop. My name is Daniel and this is the next part in the video series where I'm building the Phoenix Rising guitar. This video is part 2 of last week's episode, to be honest, where I routed the Truss-rod channel and made the outline for this neck. And in this video we're going to continue the video by me explaining how I did in my process of making a headstock break angle. But before we go into that episode, I want to give you a quick notification or a quick warning about possible sound issues, sound quality issues during this episode. While I was recording this episode, I was wearing a lavalier mic, very similar to the one I'm wearing now. But during recording, 2 of those mics started malfunctioning and even stopped working at all. And so during this episode there might be some glitches, some scratchy sounds and some quality issues with the audio. So I tried my best to edit them out as much as possible, but there was no way around having some of those issues in this video. So yeah, I really hope you don't mind, and without further ado, let's get into the episode. The workshop is nice and tidy once again, and I also managed to clean up the outline for this neck, although it took some improvisation with the various router bits, but in the end I got to the result I was aiming for without any major issues, damage, tear out or scary bits with the router table. So I'm pretty pleased how that went. And yeah, the next step before I start working on the fretboard is to figure out and cut the headstock break angle. Of course I need to mark the headstock break angle, and to determine the angle and to help me draw a line on these curved surfaces, I want to share a little trick with you guys. And I'm going to do this upside down because I still don't have a overhead camera. So I'm going to explain this upside down. First thing I need to know to determine the maximum break angle is the thickness of my stock, and it's 55 millimeters. We already knew that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw in a line. I'm going to do this live instead of on a computer. And upside down. So this is the top of the headstock, of the neck blank. 55 mils. 1, 2, and 3 marks. And I'm doing this with just pencil and paper, so you guys can do this yourself if needed. So this is the thickness of the neck blank. Next thing I'm going to draw is the nut line, and this is the back of the nut. So I know my nut is going to be 6 millimeters thick. So this would be the actual nut line, so the nut is going to sit right here. And this is the rest of my headstock. Next thing I need to know is the total length of my headstock from the back of the nut. And it's 19.7 centimeters. So 197 mils. 197. Right there. This is the total length of my headstock. Using my protractor to draw the line nice and perpendicular down. So this is my stock for the headstock. And I know I want my headstock to end up about 14 13 to 14 millimeters thick. So what I'm going to do from the tip of the headstock blank, and if you look at it like so, so this is this tip, which will be the back of the later headstock, if that makes sense. I'm going to draw a line or mark a point about 15 millimeters from the bottom. This gives me 1 or 2 millimeters spare. And I'm going to draw this line to the back of the nut. And already we have the top of the headstock. So this is my maximum break angle for my headstock. Because if I draw in an offset line of the before mentioned 15 or 14 millimeters, I like to cut my headstock at a tiny bit thicker, so I have 1 or 2 millimeters I can remove when making the headstock. So this is my headstock thickness, and now for the big trick I wanted to share with you. How can we transfer this angle onto the actual headstock? There's a quite simple trick. What I like to do is take the top line and divide it equally in easy measurements. I like to use 5 centimeters, so 50 mils. So every 50 millimeters I'm going to make a mark. Next step is I'm going to draw these lines down perpendicular to the top. So that's 1. And while I'm doing this, I take this measurement, so from the top line to the actual top of the headstock. And in this case it's 30 mils, so I'm going to mark this as being 30 mils. Next mark 100 mils from the back of the nut, doing the same thing. And this is 20 mils. And because the angle is very consistent, I now already know that this should be 10 mils. So these measurements I can use on the actual headstock. So 50 mils from the nut, 10 mils down. 100 mils from the back of the nut, 20 mils down. And 150 mils from the back of the nut, 30 mils down. So first I'm going to take the top of the headstock and I'm going to make these marks. I'm going to use a bigger straight edge or a longer one. So a mark at 50 mils, 100 mil and 150 mils. Use my protractor to make sure I draw these lines perpendicular to the center line. You can draw them to either side or the one side you want to mark. And the last one. Nice and precise. Now we have these 3 measurements and we're going to transfer them to the side of the neck.
using just a little square. $50 mils. $100 and here's $150, and the next thing to do is transfer the other 3 measurements down. $10 mils, 20 mils, and 30 mil, and of course the back of the nut right there. And now all I need to do is connect these 3 marks. As precise as possible. And now I have the top of my headstock marked, and of course I can now also mark the thickness. Like so. The tricky part comes right here at the end, how to transfer this line over into this curve. Little trick called masking tape. Take a length of masking tape, and stick it onto this line without making any creases or so. Make sure it's nice and make sure it's nice on the line. And when you've stuck it down like this, just rub your finger over the edge. And now you can see, if you don't make any creases, don't fold or bend the tape, the line will transfer over the edge. So, and to help me to make this cut a bit easier and to make sure I keep the blade of the bandsaw parallel with the nut line, I've taped the offcut from the neck back in place, and I made sure that this edge, this surface, is parallel to the center line of the neck or perpendicular to the nut line. And now I can just run this neck through the bandsaw at an angle, which is a bit weird for me because this is my first reversed headstock. So yeah, everything seems a bit off, but I think I should be fine, and maybe in the future I'll make a jig to make these cuts even easier. Set the height. And for those interested, I've again changed the blade on my bandsaw to a slightly wider blade, 15 mils, I think, to help me make this cut as straight as possible by hand. Bit of light, and yeah, let's start cutting. So the cut went very well. I only have about a millimeter of material here I need to still need to remove. Also the cut was nice and parallel to the knot line, so yeah, I have plenty of material left to plane this surface as flat as possible. Yeah, but before I start planing the headstock, I really want to prevent any tear outs, any mishaps, and I want this to go as smooth as possible. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure my planes are once again nice and sharp. And what I usually like to do for headstocks is to use my very tiny old number 120 Stanley block plane. It is said this plane might be close to 100 years old, maybe older, but it has a very good blade, very easy to sharpen. It holds its edge a long while. So yeah, I'm just touching it up right now using my DMT diamond stones, a fine one and a super fine one, mounted in this piece of plywood. And I always keep this at hand. I think I said this in the previous video or maybe this video. I always keep my sharpening stones at hand when I'm planing, just to touch them up every once in a while. And yeah, maintaining your tools, whether it's your bandsaw, plane blades, chisels, you name it, yeah, makes your work and your day a whole lot easier. So yeah, I'm going to touch up my blades and I'll be right back when it's time to start planing down the headstock angle. Well, I've got something delivered just right now, and I've been waiting for these packages to arrive for over a month. They've been lost in transit, they've been checked by customs, you name it, but they're finally here and I can't wait to show you guys this. So I'm going to put my planes away for a moment, get rid of the neck for just a sec. Sharpening stones, yeah, I can't wait. This is some new merchandise and I can't wait to check it out. I've ordered, some of you have already seen that there are some new t-shirts and hoodies available in the Unquendor Guitars shop underneath this video, sporting the new Unquendor Guitars logo, and of course a dedicated t-shirt and hoodie for the Phoenix guitar build. And I'm very excited to have these new t-shirts, new hoodies in my possession right now. And yeah, I've seen some comments of people who already ordered a couple of t-shirts, and I thank you very much for supporting me and my channel and make this all possible. But I haven't seen them myself yet. So here we go. Hoodies. Wow. A Phoenix Rising Unquendor Guitars hoodie. They're a bit dirty from printing, I guess, but nice and subtle. The Phoenix and the new Unquendor Guitars logo. This is one hoodie. This is the same. Also a Unquendor Guitars Phoenix hoodie. Great quality. I've tried to get the best quality hoodies and the best quality t-shirts. I don't like those very thin, cheap feeling hoodies and such. I like the thicker stuff, so good quality hoodies. Where did I put my knife? I don't know. I'm so excited. That was the most stupid way of opening a package. But I'm just too excited. Another hoodie. Packaging slip. Just a regular Unquendor Guitars hoodie, just the new logo. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the new branding, the new logo, and of course the new merchandise. Hoodies. Oh, this one is... Ah, that's a shame. This is a misprint. The last couple of letters have a shading behind them. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I have to return that one. So if you're experiencing some troubles with your merchandise, please contact Teespring and they should help you with any problems. A t-shirt, again for the Phoenix guitar build. I'm thinking about making these limited, so as soon as this guitar build is over, they might disappear from my shop, and maybe I do limited runs for each guitar build. And finally, yeah, no misprint on this one, a regular Unquendor Guitars t-shirt. They're just plain on the back, and the front have this new Unquendor Guitars logo. So yeah, new merchandise. So yeah guys, if you like to get yourself a nice hoodie like this, or a t-shirt, or of course a coffee cup, yeah, check out the store down below, and know that you are not only getting a good quality piece of clothing, but you also help me to do what I'm doing here on YouTube. So I'm very grateful for your support when making a purchase. Thank you very much, and let's go back to the main video. So put the neck in the vise and start planing this top surface very carefully, and I'm going to start with my number 4, freshly sharpened. And I know I have to take off some material near the nut, so I straighten out my plane a bit and take away that ridge first. So maybe this is a better angle. This is of course the line for the nut, and this is where the back of the nut is going to be. And I don't know if it still shows up on camera, but there's a tiny line visible just behind this line, and this is where the break angle for the headstock starts. So I'm very carefully planing this line down towards the back of the nut, and the trick is to get here at the same time as I'm on the correct depth. So it's a bit of a challenge sometimes to get everything nice and straight and without overshooting this line. It's better to plane down a bit more at the end of the headstock than to overshoot this line. So again, back off the plane to take just a tiniest amount off with each pass to not overshoot. A bit too much. And again, pressure on the front of the plane and transition to pressure on the back of the plane when we're nearing the end of the headstock. Guys, I'm sorry and my apologies if the last clips had issues with the sound. I just noticed that my lavalier mic I was wearing on my shirt was bugging out, and I don't know. This is the first video I'm using this wireless set using transmitters and such, and this is the second lavalier mic in 2 days time that bugged out on me. So I don't know if it's just cheap mics, or that I've managed to snag the wire somewhere. I don't know, but this is the second mic that got destroyed in just 2 days time. So not off to a promising start, but I'm still very curious about what you guys think about this new sound setup or this new mic setup, if it has indeed improved the sound quality of my videos. I always had trouble while editing these videos to manage the sound quality and differences in reverb when I was away from the camera, or if I was closer to the camera by only using a shotgun mic. So yeah, what you're hearing right now is a mixture between the wireless system. I'm currently wearing the transmitter on the inside of my shirt and using my mic, so it's a mixture of my shotgun mic and this transmitter over my previous video. So yeah, let me know what you think about the sound quality of this video. Back to the neck, of course. I have only time left for one job, and that's to drill the hole for the truss-rod axis. I always drill that hole at this stage because once you have your truss-rod installed and your fretboard glued on, drilling this axis hole can be a pain in your hind. So I'm going to clean this up. So put away the planes, pencil, measuring devices, take out cordless drill and a long drill bit. A 6mm long drill bit will do, and I will drill this axis hole. And of course, check it by installing the truss rod. Oh. Yeah, I can easily access the truss rod. Done. And this is something I have seen some questions asked about, how to drill this hole. Well, this is how. Use a long 6mm long drill bit and drill this hole before you've installed the truss rod and glued on your fretboard.
So yeah, this is unfortunately all I have time for in this episode. I hope you liked it, and if you did, let me know by leaving a like. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, let me know in the comment section down below. I know I don't always reply to the comments, but be assured I always read all my comments, and I make a mental note or write it on a to-do list if I see something of interest, or I'll try to address it in an upcoming video. So yeah, make sure you leave a like, you leave a comment, or just say hi. It really helps me a lot. In the next episode, of course, I'll be starting the fretboard, and I'm a bit nervous about the fretboard because I've got things planned that I'm not even sure are possible or if I can do them. So there will be some experimenting going on in the next couple of episodes, I think. So yeah, be sure to don't miss out on these videos if you like to follow along with this guitar build. To make sure you don't miss out on any of my uploads, make sure you are subscribed to my channel and have all your notifications turned on and set to all, so you get notified by YouTube if I upload something new. Yeah, like I said, that's it for this episode. I hope to see you all in the next one, but until then, take care and bye bye.